Let me ask you a question, and let me give you 30 seconds just to think about it. What's the most important shot in the game? Have a think, and then I'll elaborate in a moment. Okay, so no doubt you've either thought of the serve or the return. And we could have a discussion about whether the most important shot in the game is the serve or whether it's the return. But let's just stick with the serve for a moment, because whatever we think, the serve is certainly up there within the top two, and I guess that a lot of you would have thought of the serve as being the most important shot. So now I'd like you to think about your own coaching practice, your day-to-day work, what you do 10, 20, 30, 40 hours a week on court with groups of players and in your individual lessons. You've just decided, probably, that the serve is the most important shot in the game, or certainly one of the top two. So let's just think about your regular coaching practice. I don't know if I've seen you coach. I get around to a lot of clubs and see a lot of lessons, so I may have done, but the probability is that I probably haven't seen the majority of you coaching. But I'd be fairly confident that a lot of you leave the serve until the last 10 minutes of your lesson. Let's just rewind for a second. A lot of you have probably just thought about the serve as being the most important shot in the game. And if I were to come and see a lot of you coaching, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you are leaving the serve to the last 10 minutes. Just think about that. You're saying it's important on the one hand, and on the other hand, we're leaving the serve to the end of the lesson. And a lot of us do that. I've done it myself. So I'm not accusing you of doing something that we and a lot of other coaches wouldn't be doing. But it doesn't quite make sense, does it? If the serve is really that important, why are we leaving it to the end of the lesson? The serve's a skill. It's something to be practiced on a regular basis. So think about some of the other things that happen in your lessons. I'm sure that on a regular basis in your group and your individual lessons, you're feeding balls out of a basket. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But stop and think about the implication. Every time you feed a ball to your player, that makes them the returner. It makes you the server. So, again, we're potentially missing out on opportunities where the serve could be practiced more. Every time you feed a ball in from the basket, your player, by definition, becomes the returner. Missed opportunity. I'm sure that at other times in your lessons, the players are feeding the ball in to start the rally, probably with some sort of throw or an underarm feed. They could be throwing the ball overarm, practicing an overarm release. They could be feeding the ball in with a little overarm serve instead. It may not be the subject for the lesson, but it's another opportunity for them to practice serving overarm. So if we really believe that the serve is as important as we say it is, then we need to make sure that our actions are as good as our words. If we really believe that the serve is one of the most important shots in the game, or perhaps the most important shot, what are you doing to actually make that be the case in your lessons? What are you doing to make sure that your actions and your words are the same? So think about the opportunities where you can get your players to practice the serve more, all the way through the lesson. Perhaps by having little chunks of 2, 3, 4, 5 minute practice where they practice the serve before they then start the rally with the serve. Think about whether you can intersperse the lesson with serving practice rather than leaving it to a chunk at the end where they practice half a basket or a basket of serve before the end of the lesson in one block. Think about whether you could make your player serve the ball into you and that you return with you feed it in as a return rather than you being the server and making your player be the returner. They're simple things, simple concepts, but yet in the busyness of our coaching and the busyness of our lives, sometimes we don't give ourselves a chance to stop and take stock. So here's your chance. Whilst I've got you, I'd also like to say thank you to you. Thank you to all our customers. Thank you to everybody who's been on our courses this year. Thank you to everybody who's engaged with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you to every one of you who's been in touch to ask about courses, workshops, or just for advice. That's what we're there for. And so we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you. We'd like to wish you a very happy Christmas and to wish you a profitable, a prosperous and a healthy 2015. And we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you very much.